Ever wondered why English grammar often leaves you scratching your head? As the language that connects the world, English has its quirks, and none more so than in the realm of grammar. From the unassuming is and are to the tricky was and were, these small words can trip up even the most seasoned language enthusiast. Then, there are the ever-confusing have, has, and had that seem to play musical chairs with their roles and sentences. It's no wonder that these common grammar pitfalls can make English feel like a labyrinth. But don't worry, we're here to light your way. We're going to tackle these words, these tricky, tiny, but oh-so-important parts of speech. We'll explore their usage, their context, and their roles in sentences. And guess what? It's going to be fun. In the next few minutes, we'll dive into these words and clear up all that confusion. Let's start with the basics. Is, are, was, were. Ever wondered why we use these four words? Well, to answer that, let's dive into the world of English grammar. These words are forms of the verb to be, which is used in a variety of contexts, from describing oneself to expressing a state of being. However, the trick is to know when to use which. Let's break it down. Consider our friends Bob and Alice. When speaking about Bob in the present tense, we say, Bob is a teacher. Here, is used because Bob is a single person. Now, if we want to talk about Bob and Alice together, we say, Bob and Alice are teachers. Here, are is used because we're referring to more than one person. What about past tense? Well, if we were to speak about Bob's previous job, we'd say, Bob was a chef. Was is used because we're referring to a single person in the past. And if we're talking about both Bob and Alice in the past, we'd say, Bob and Alice were chefs. Here, were is used because we're referring to more than one person in the past. Seems simple, doesn't it? Now, let's add a twist. How about questions? The same rules apply. If we want to ask about Bob's job, we'd say, is Bob a teacher? And if we're curious about both Bob and Alice, we'd ask, are Bob and Alice teachers? Similarly, for past tense questions, we'd ask, was Bob a chef? Or, were Bob and Alice chefs? However, English is a funny language with its exceptions. For instance, when you're talking about a singular entity that's made up of multiple parts, like a team or a band, you can use is or are based on whether you're emphasizing the group as a single entity or the individuals within it. For example, the team is winning emphasizes the team as a single unit, while the team are wearing their new jerseys emphasizes the individuals within the team. The same goes for was and were. The team was formed 5 years ago treats the team as a single entity, while the team were arguing among themselves emphasizes the individuals within the team. So, there you have it. Is and was are used for singular entities, and are and where are used for plural entities. But remember, English is a language full of exceptions and nuances, so it's not always as black and white as it seems. With this, you now know when to use is, are, was, were. But what about have, has, had? Let's find out. The words have, has, had might seem straightforward, but they can be quite tricky. Let's decipher these three little words that can make a big impact on your English grammar. Picture this. Two friends, Charlie and Emma, are having a chat. Charlie says, I have a new book. Here, have is used in the present tense to show possession. It's something Charlie owns right now. But wait a minute, what if Emma wants to talk about her cat? She would say, my cat has a new toy. So, has is also used to show possession, but it's used when the subject is he, she, or it. Now, let's change gears and talk about the past. Yesterday, Charlie had a great day at the park. The word had here is the past tense of both have and has. Whether it's I had, you had, he had, we had, or they had is a one-size-fits-all kind of word when we're talking about the past. Let's take it up a notch and dive into the perfect tenses. These tenses use have, has, and had as helping verbs to talk about actions that are completed in relation to the present, the past, or the future. Consider this. Charlie has read the new book he mentioned earlier. Emma's cat has played with its new toy. Here, has read and has played are present perfect tenses. They're used to talk about an action that happened at an unspecified time before now. The exact time it happened is not important. What about the past perfect tense? Well, before Charlie went to the park yesterday, he had finished his homework. Had finished is a past perfect tense, and it describes an action that completed before another past action. And lastly, the future perfect tense. By this time next week, Emma will have returned from her vacation. Will have returned is a future perfect tense, talking about an action that will be completed before some point in the future. So, you see, have, has, and had are not just about possession. They're versatile little words that can help you express a variety of situations, from ownership to actions in different points in time. But remember, English is a funny language and there are always exceptions. For instance, you might hear someone say, "I have got a new book." It might sound strange, but have got is another way to show possession, especially in British English. Look at you, mastering have, has, had like a pro. Let's do a quick recap. Remember, have and has are used in the present tense to show possession, while had is used in the past tense. They also act as helping verbs in perfect tenses to talk about completed actions. Keep practicing, and you'll have these down in no time. So, ready for a quick recap? Let's dive right into our grammar checklist, a handy tool to keep your English sharp and error-free. We've explored a lot today, so let's jog our memory with some key points. First, we dove into the realm of is, are, was, were. These are forms of the verb to be, which expresses a state of being. Is used with singular subjects, are with plural. Remember our animated characters, like when the bird said, "I am happy," and the group of dogs exclaimed, "We are excited." Then we have was and were, the past tense forms of is and are. Was is used with singular subjects and were with plural subjects. For instance, the cat was asleep, or the kids were playing. Next on our checklist is have, has, had, all forms of the verb to have, which indicates possession. Have is used with I, you, we, and they, while has is used with he, she, and it. Like our animated characters demonstrated, I have a kite, or she has a ball. And lastly, had is the past tense form of have and has. Regardless of the subject, you'll use had to talk about something in the past. For example, they had a great time at the party, or he had a sandwich for lunch. In the English language, every verb changes according to the tense, the subject, and the sentence type. These rules might seem a lot, but they're like the backbones of English grammar. With practice, using is, are, was, were, and have, has, had will become second nature to you. So keep this grammar checklist close by. Use it when you're writing or speaking in English. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes, that's how we learn. Remember, practice makes perfect, keep going. English grammar can be a tough nut to crack, but with a little practice, you'll get the hang of it. Remember, the key to mastery is repetition. So don't shy away from using is, are, was, were, have, has, had in your daily conversations. Whether you're ordering a coffee or engaging in a hearty debate, these words can come in quite handy. It might feel a bit clunky at first, but over time it'll become second nature. And before you know it, you'll be using these words as fluently as a native speaker. Don't worry if you make mistakes along the way. Every error is a stepping stone towards better understanding. So, embrace them, learn from them, and move forward. After all, the journey to learning English is as exciting as the destination. That's it for today. Keep practicing,